Hey guys, today we're going to unlock a door to a room that has no key. Not a physical door, mind you, but the cover of a book. A book that sits in a vault at Yale University, looking utterly ordinary and profoundly alien at the same time. It's a book you can flip through online, its pages crisp and scanned in high resolution, and yet you cannot read a single word. It's like staring at the surface of a calm, deep pond, knowing there's an entire world beneath, but the water is made of glass you cannot break. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as you settle in, maybe with the weight of your day finally sliding off your shoulders, tell me in the comments, where are you listening from tonight? Is it a quiet city apartment with a distant hum of traffic, or a room in the countryside where the only sound is the wind against the window? Wherever you are, let the world slow down for a while. Soften your gaze, let the hum of life around you fade, and gently drift with us into tonight's quiet exploration. Imagine yourself not just watching, but stepping. The air changes. It becomes cool, still, carrying the faint, sweet smell of old paper and polished wood. You're in a long, narrow library, but the shelves are built into rough-hewn stone walls. The light doesn't come from electric bulbs, but from a few stray moonbeams cutting through high, narrow windows, illuminating dancing motes of dust. Your footsteps are silent on a thick, woven rug. Your hand trails along the spines of books bound in cracked leather, titles stamped in gold leaf that you can almost, but not quite, make out in the dim light. At the end of this row, on a simple wooden lectern, lies a single volume. It's not the largest book here, nor the most ornate, but it seems to pull at the very light in the room. This is the Voynich Rare Book Library, and this is the Voynich Manuscript. You don't open it yet. You just observe. The cover is plain, a worn vellum over boards. It looks practical, like a medieval herbal or an alchemist journal. There's no grand title screaming its secrets. Its power is in its silence. We call it a manuscript because it's handwritten, but that's like calling the ocean a large puddle. It is a codex of about 240 pages, made from fine calfskin vellum. Carbon dating places its creation between 1404 and 1438 in the early Renaissance. Someone or someone's spent an immense amount of time and money on this. Vellum was expensive. The ink, a careful blend of iron gall, was precious. This was no casual doodle. This was a deliberate, costly project. And as your eyes adjust, you see the first of its endless mysteries. The script. It flows from left to right in neat, curling characters that look like a proper alphabet. Some letters resemble Latin. Others look like simplified Roman numerals. And others are completely unique, little stars and loops and gallows. They form words, separated by clear spaces. They have patterns. Certain characters appear only at the beginnings of words, like capital letters. It looks so much like a real language that your brain instinctively tries to parse it to find meaning. But meaning slips away like smoke. It is famously the most indecipherable text in the world, not for lack of trying. The best cryptographers of the 20th century, the code breakers who cracked the Nazi enigma, have turned their formidable minds to it and walked away baffled. Modern supercomputers, trained in linguistic pattern recognition, have chewed through its symbols and declared it statistically strange. It has the internal structure of language, but it refuses to match any known tongue on Earth. This is your first anchor in the mystery, the simple, unsettling fact of the writing itself. It is a message that screams, "I am a message," and yet whispers nothing. As you finally reach out, your fingers hovering just above the vellum, you're not touching a book. You're touching a 600-year-old echo of a human mind, an echo that has forgotten how to make sound. And the debate, the quiet academic war that has raged for a century, begins right here. Is this a sophisticated cipher, hiding a profound secret? Or is it an elaborate, beautiful nonsense, a work of art meant to mimic knowledge? The scientists, the linguists, the historians, they still can't agree. All they have is the same vellum under their microscopes and the same profound, enticing silence. Your fingers finally make contact. The vellum is not paper smooth. It has a slight grain, a toothiness, like very fine leather. It feels substantial, durable. This book was made to last. You gently lift the cover, and the spine gives a soft, almost inaudible creak, a sound that hasn't been heard in this quiet library for hours, perhaps days. The first page you see isn't the beginning of the text. It's later in the book, a page that has been reproduced in countless articles and documentaries. But seeing it here, in this imagined stillness, is different. This is the section scholars call herbal, though that name is a placeholder, a guess based on what our eyes interpret. You are not reading now, you are in a garden. But it's a garden from a slightly skewed dimension, drawn with meticulous, loving detail in inks of brown, green, blue, and a faded rust red are plants. They have roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and seed pods. They are rendered with the care of a medieval herbalist who aimed for botanical accuracy. Yet, they do not exist. You recognize fragments of reality. A leaf here that looks like a peppermint, a root bulb that resembles a turnip, a flower that echoes a pansy. But these elements are grafted, twisted, and recombined into impossible wholes. One plant has a fat, onion-like root, but from it sprouts a slender stem bearing not flowers, but what look like tiny, perfect castles. Another has leaves that are clearly veined and shaped like oak, but they grow in a spiraling pattern up a stem that culminates in a burst of blue, starburst flowers with intricate, geometric centers. Your mind tries to catalog, to match, and it fails. That's the second anchor point, the specific, vivid wrongness of the flora. It's not lazy fantasy, it's detailed invention. It suggests the artist was observing something, but was it real plants seen through a symbolic lens? Were these pharmaceutical diagrams where the shape of the leaf indicated its healing property? Or are they maps of something else entirely? Constellations, chemical reactions, spiritual concepts, disguised as botany? The debate here is fierce. One school of thought, led by botanists, has tried valiantly to find New World plants in these pages, arguing that the odd combinations might be a European artist's clumsy attempt to render unfamiliar American species. The tiny castles could be a misunderstood depiction of a pineapple, perhaps. But the matches are never perfect, always requiring a leap of imagination. As you turn the page, you encounter a more haunting detail. Many of these plants are shown as if uprooted or sliced through. Their root systems are exposed, complex and hairy, drawn with the same care as the parts above ground. Some roots even have what look like eyes or little faces peering out. It's eerie, yet not threatening. It feels less like an anatomy diagram and more like a revelation, as if the artist is saying, here is the true, hidden nature of this thing. The secret is below the surface. You can almost smell the damp soil, feel the coolness of the earth that would cling to those roots. The illustrations pull you into a state of focused wonder, a quiet, what is that replaces the need for a frantic, what does it mean? And here lies a subtle, lesser-known fact that adds to the intimacy of the mystery, the paint. Analysis shows the pigments are typical for the period. Iron gall ink for the outlines, crushed lapis lazuli for the precious blues, malachite for greens, red ochre. But there's no underdrawing. Most medieval illustrators would sketch in charcoal or lead first, then ink over it. The Voynich artist, or artists, seems to have worked with astonishing confidence directly in ink. Each curling stem, each delicate leaf vein, was laid down in one go, with minimal error. This wasn't a copyist's work. This was someone, or a tight-knit team, working from a clear vision in their mind, transferring it to vellum with a steady, purposeful hand. Were they illustrating a known text in a secret script, or were text and image born together from the same mysterious thought process? The vellum holds the line, but the intention has evaporated, leaving only the beautiful, inscrutable trace. You leave the standalone plants behind, turning pages that rustle like dried leaves. The garden becomes denser, more systemic. Now you're in a section where the plants are no longer isolated specimens, but are connected, often by elaborate, twisting tubes or channels that run between their roots or intertwine their stems. This is the part of the book some call the pharmaceutical or balneological section, though those are just more educated guesses. It feels less like a catalog and more like a blueprint for a living machine. Imagine a quiet, sun-dappled clearing in a very strange forest. The light is the soft green-gold light that filters through a dense canopy. But here, the canopy is made of those impossible leaves and starburst flowers. The air is humid, smelling of damp earth, crushed herbs, and the faint, mineral tang of running water. You are not just looking at drawings, you are in the diagram. Those tubes aren't mere lines on parchment. They are aqueducts, carved from smooth, dark wood or hollowed-out reed, glistening with moisture. Clear water, or perhaps something more viscous and sap-like, flows through them, connecting fat root bulbs to intricate, multi-tiered pools. The centerpieces here are often elegant, bulbous vessels that look like giant Persian jars or ornate baths, nestled among the roots of the largest plants. Women, naked, pale-skinned, with rounded, peaceful faces and long, flowing hair, are depicted immersed in these pools, sometimes up to their necks. They don't seem to be bathing for leisure. Their poses are formal, almost ritualistic. Some hold the twisting tubes, directing flow. Others simply float, eyes closed as if in a trance. The water in these pools is often a vibrant, impossible blue or green, the same precious pigments used for the skies in other sections. It doesn't look like water you drink. It looks like water you'd undergo. This is where a compelling, lesser-known theory whispers from the pages. Could this be an early, symbolic guide to balneotherapy, the use of baths for medical treatment, combined with phytotherapy, the use of plants? The tubes might represent the transfer of medicinal properties from specific roots into the bath waters. Each unique plant, with its impossible anatomy, might not represent a real species, but a specific therapeutic compound or concept. The castle plant could symbolize a treatment for ailments of the mind or nobility. The spiraling stem plant might represent a cure for dizziness or spiritual confusion. The women in the baths aren't just figures. They could be patients, or perhaps priestesses administering cures. It's a theory that paints the Voynich not as a book of secrets about the outer world, but about the inner world of the body and its healing. But the mystery deepens with a peculiar artistic detail. Look closely at the integration of the women with the plumbing. In several folios, their bodies and the tubes form a continuous, interconnected system. A tube might curl around an arm like a bracelet, or seem to emerge from the water near a hip. It creates a sense that the human figure is not separate from the apparatus, but a functional part of it. This has led to a more esoteric debate. Are we looking at a literal guide to hydrotherapy or an allegorical one? Could the baths represent alchemical vessels, the waters represent primal fluids or philosophical concepts, and the women represent stages of a transformation? The text curling around these scenes would then be instructions or descriptions for a process that is both physical and spiritual. The scientists and historians who favor this view are often at odds with the linguists, for it suggests the text may not be a language at all, but a set of labels or incantations for a symbolic process, forever locked in its own symbolic logic. As you observe this serene, complicated scene, you notice the light in your imagined clearing seems to pulse gently, synchronized with the notional flow in the tubes. It's calming. The sheer complexity of it invites not frustration, but a surrender to its intricate beauty. You don't need to understand the pump mechanism of a heart to appreciate its rhythmic sound. Here, you don't need to decipher the text to feel the quiet, purposeful intention behind this interconnected garden of healing, real or imagined. The debate, is it medicine, magic, or metaphor, fades into a soft hum in the background, another layer of the manuscript's enduring lullaby. You turn another heavy vellum leaf, and the garden's humid air seems to clear, growing cooler, sharper. The green-gold light of the forest floor recedes, replaced by the deep, velvety black of a night sky. You have entered the astronomical or cosmological section. Here, the pages are dominated by circular diagrams, like great, intricate mandalas drawn with a compass and a miraculously steady hand. But these are not maps of known constellations. They are maps of a sky scene in a dream. Imagine leaning back on cool grass, the scent of the strange garden still faint on the air, and looking up. But the sky above you is this page. At the center of many diagrams is a sun or a moon, rendered as a delicate face, sometimes serene, sometimes oddly expressive, encircled by concentric rings. Radiating from these central orbs are spokes, like the rays of the sun, but each spoke is a chain of stars. And these stars are not dots. They are tiny, perfect 5- or 6-pointed stars, each one carefully inked. They are connected by fine lines, forming shapes, boxes, triangles, intricate polygons that overlay the circular fields. It looks less like a star chart and more like a schematic for a celestial machine or a spiderweb spun from starlight. Some of the circles contain what are unmistakably zodiac signs: a bull, an archer, a pair of fish. But they are nestled among dozens of other, unfamiliar symbols, tiny crowns, birds, strange vessels. They are not arranged as they are in any known Western or Eastern zodiac system. It's as if someone took the familiar language of the stars and scrambled its grammar, creating new sentences in the sky. In one stunning folio, a series of these circular diagrams are arranged in a fold-out, like a map of cosmic seasons or cycles. You can almost feel the slow, grinding turn of these great gears in the void. This leads to one of the most tantalizing and less discussed clues about the manuscript's purpose. Several of the diagrams feature women positioned in crescent moons, holding onto stars, or standing within the radiating spokes. They are integrated into the cosmos, much like the women were integrated into the bathing apparatus. This has fueled a niche but persistent theory that the Voynich Manuscript is, at least in part, a women's textbook, not a diary, but a coded compendium of knowledge deemed unsuitable or dangerous for women to possess openly in the 15th century. Knowledge of herbal medicine, astronomy, astrology, and perhaps even obstetrics or gynecology. The bathing sections could relate to fertility, or postnatal treatments. The astronomical sections could be about tracking menstrual cycles or pregnancy in relation to lunar phases, using a personalized, symbolic astral language to keep the knowledge secret from the male-dominated academic and religious authorities. The script, then, wouldn't be a cipher for a known language, but a constructed, private language of women healers and midwives. But the scientific debate here is wonderfully arcane. Modern statistical analyses of the star patterns have been conducted, trying to see if they match the actual night sky over Italy or Central Europe in the early 1400s. The results are inconclusive, drifting into the territory of maybe, but not in any straightforward way. Some researchers have pointed to a few diagrams that seem to depict a type of comet or a supernova, but without correlating text, it's impossible to be sure. The overwhelming feeling is of a system, a coherent, self-contained cosmology that operates by its own rules. It doesn't seek to match our reality perfectly. It creates a parallel one. As you gaze at these star charts that are, notice the subtle color. The deep blue of the sky is often the rich, expensive ultramarine from crushed lapis lazuli. The stars are not white, but often a faded yellow or left as the bare vellum, making them glow against the dark field. The precision is hypnotic. Your eye can follow a chain of stars from the center to the rim, getting lost in the repetitive, rhythmic pattern. It's not chaotic, it's deeply ordered. And that order, even in its unknowability, is soothing. The vast, cold questions of the cosmos, what are the stars? How do they move? Are here rendered into a manageable, beautiful puzzle contained within the circumference of a page. The great debate of whether this is bad astronomy, symbolic astronomy, or brilliant encryption of real astronomical data becomes a distant murmur, like radio static from a far-off galaxy, slowly fading as you focus on the simple, silent geometry of stars on a Kafkan sky. The celestial gears fade as you turn the page, and the sound changes, not to silence, but to a low, resonant drip, drip, and the gentle, echoing murmur of water finding its way through stone. You have descended from the starry wheels into the heart of the biological, or, more whimsically, the balneological core of the manuscript. But here, the scale is more intimate, more intricate. If the previous bathing scenes were the grand spa, this is the detailed plumbing schematic. Imagine you've shrunk, small enough to walk along the margins of these diagrams. You're in a network of subterranean grottos, or the inner workings of a colossal, organic machine. The pages are dominated by those same elegant, bulbous pools and baths, but now you see them in cross-section. They are connected by an astonishingly complex array of pipes, ducts, and flues. The pipes are not uniform. They are segmented like bamboo or insect larvae, sometimes pinched, sometimes swollen into reservoirs. They branch, they reconnect, they spiral into tight coils like springs. Fluids, depicted in brilliant blues, greens, and reds, flow through them. Some pools are filled with the fluid, with the naked women immersed. Others are empty, waiting. The women here are even more integrated into the machinery. In one famous series of folios, often called the rosette's fold-out, they appear in groups at the ends of pipe-like passages, their bodies forming terminals or junctions in the system. Their poses are passive, yet purposeful. They are conduits. This is where the manuscript feels most alien and most deliberately designed. It doesn't look like a depiction of human anatomy as Renaissance artists understood it. It looks like a diagram of a process where human bodies are stations in a circuit. A fascinating and little-known detail anchors this section, the presence of what look like valves. At certain junctions in the piping, There are clear depictions of T-shaped or plug-like devices. In the context of a water system, they make engineering sense. They would control flow, direction, pressure. This tiny, pragmatic feature is a bombshell for interpreters. It suggests the illustrator wasn't just drawing fantasy. They were illustrating a functional, if symbolic, hydraulic or pneumatic system. Some researchers, particularly those leaning into the alchemical interpretation, see this as a direct representation of distillation apparatus. The baths are alembics. The women symbolize the purified essence, or the queen, in the chemical wedding. The pipes are the paths of vapors and distillates. The different colored fluids would then represent different stages of the great work. The nigredo, albedo, citronitas, rubedo. But another, quieter debate exists. Could this be a symbolic representation of the human circulatory and lymphatic systems, blended with concepts of humoral theory? The four fluids, blood, phlegm, black bile, yellow bile, were believed to govern health. The pipes could be vessels, the baths major organs, and the women the balancing spirit or influence within each humor. The manuscript's creator, working a century before Vesalius's groundbreaking anatomical drawings, might have been attempting to map the invisible, vital flows of the body using the visual language of hydraulics available to them. The text would then be a description of these flows, their imbalances, and their corrections. The problem, of course, is that the anatomy is all wrong for a literal guide. So again, you are left with symbolism, a medicine map, not a body map. As you trace a blue fluid from a coiled pipe into a star-shaped pool where a woman floats, the sound of dripping water in your mind becomes rhythmic, metronomic. There is a profound calm in this complexity. It's the calm of watching a meticulously built Rube Goldberg machine, knowing every part has a place, even if you can't predict the final outcome. The need to solve it dissolves. You simply observe the flow. The competing theories. Is it alchemy? Is it physiology? Is it a spa manual for a forgotten cult? Become like the different colored fluids themselves, flowing in parallel channels, never quite mixing, each following its own logical path through the elaborate, silent machinery of the book. The sound of dripping water recedes, replaced by a new, almost imperceptible sound, a soft, collective hum, like the vibration of many tiny wings, or the murmur of life in a submerged cave. You have turned into the section most often labeled pharmaceutical or small plants, but a more apt name might be the microscopic realm. Here, the grand baths and celestial wheels are gone. The scale shifts radically. The pages are dense, busy, filled with hundreds, perhaps thousands, of tiny, repetitive drawings. Imagine you have a magnifying glass. You lean close to the vellum, and a universe of minute detail swims into focus. The pages are divided into grids, and in each cell of the grid is a drawing of a small, stylized plant, each with a few leaves and a simple root. Sprouting from these plants, or sometimes placed beside them, are tiny, naked female figures. They are minuscule, sometimes no larger than a fingernail, but drawn with an astonishing consistency. They stand, they sit, they hold onto the plants, they point. They are like homunculi, inhabitants of this Lilliputian botanical world. But the truly mesmerizing part is what connects them. From each of these tiny figures, or from the plants they tend, extends a line. A single, fine, unbroken ink line. And these lines do not wander randomly. They stream across the page in parallel, convergent rivers, all flowing toward labeled, star-like symbols or larger vessels at the edges of the grid. It creates a breathtaking visual effect. a field of countless individual points, all connected, all directed toward a common destination. It is a diagram of collection, of harvest, of distillation on a massive, systematic scale. This is where a compelling and often overlooked hypothesis emerges. The star symbols these lines flow toward are not stars at all, but jars or flasks. Viewed from above, a medieval glass ampoule or apothecary jar with a rounded bottom and a narrow neck might indeed resemble a star. This section, then, could be a literal recipe book. Each tiny plant and figure combination might represent a specific ingredient combined with a specific process, symbolized by the figure's pose. The unbroken line represents the extraction of its essence, which is then channeled into the appropriate jar for storage or mixing. The text next to each cell would be the ingredient name and quantity, written in the secret script. The entire grid is a pharmacy's inventory, a visual database of materia medica. The debate here is subtle but profound. If this is a recipe book, why the extraordinary, costly effort to encode it? What was so dangerous about these recipes? Some point to the period's fear of women's knowledge of poisons and abortifacients. A coded herbal would protect the keeper from accusations of witchcraft. Others suggest it might contain formulas for pigments, perfumes, or alloys, trade secrets of a guild. But the repetitive, almost industrial nature of the drawings suggests something systematic, like a monastic scriptorium's guide to producing standard tinctures. Yet, the consistent presence of the tiny female figures argues against a purely mechanical process. It injects a personal, perhaps spiritual, element into each extraction. As you let your eyes drift across one of these dense pages, the individual lines begin to blur into a soft, gray texture, like rain seen from a distance. The hum you imagine grows louder, but it is not chaotic. It is the hum of industry, of countless small, purposeful actions contributing to a whole. It is the sound of a beehive, where every bee has a task, and the combined effort produces something sweet and mysterious. There is a deep, rhythmic comfort in this pattern. You don't need to know what each tiny plant is to appreciate the order of the grid, the certainty of the flowing lines. The scholarly argument over whether this represents pharmacology, alchemy, or a symbolic representation of prayers or spiritual offerings becomes a background drone, harmonious with the imagined hum of the page itself. You are simply witnessing a system at work, a slow, meticulous harvest of invisible virtues from a garden of secrets. The dense, humming grid of tiny harvesters fades as you turn a particularly heavy, stiff leaf of vellum. The background noise changes once more, not to silence, but to a profound, resonant quiet, like the air inside a vast, empty cathedral. You have arrived at one of the manuscript's most iconic and enigmatic segments, the rosettes, or cosmological foldout. This is not a single page, but a sprawling, 6-page spread that folds out like a medieval map of the world. Except the world it maps is like no other. Imagine the library walls around you dissolving. You are no longer leaning over a book, but floating in the center of a great, spherical chamber. The chamber's walls are this diagram. It is dominated by 9 immense, circular medallions, rosettes, arranged in a complex pattern, connected by pathways that look like roads or rivers on a map. Each rosette is a self-contained universe, a roundel bursting with intricate, detailed imagery. And at the heart of it all, in the central rosette, is a structure that looks like a fortress with 8 towers. Let your gaze drift into one of the rosettes. It's like peering through a porthole into another realm. One is a seascape of impossible blue, with intricate waves and islands topped with castles. Another is a volcanic landscape, with rivers of fire, painted in that same rusty red, flowing from a central peak. Another seems to depict a medieval town in minute detail, complete with buildings, walls, and tiny figures going about their business. Yet, the perspective is flattened, schematic. The castles in the sea rosette aren't drawn in 3 dimensions. They are presented as if seen from directly above, their floor plans exposed. This isn't a painting. It's an architectural blueprint of fantasy lands. The pathways connecting these rosettes are the true mystery. They are not straight lines. They are convoluted, turning at sharp angles, sometimes passing through what look like gateways or arches. Lining these pathways are hundreds, maybe thousands, of those tiny, repetitive female figures, all in profile, all walking in the same direction along the path, like pilgrims on a sacred route. They are identical, a procession of souls on a predetermined journey through this diagrammatic cosmos. This fold-out is the crown jewel of the map theory. Could this be a symbolic map of the soul's journey through the afterlife, through different spiritual or alchemical states? The 9 rosettes could represent the 9 spheres of the heavens, or the 9 stages of a transformation. The central fortress might be the ultimate destination, the philosopher's stone, or God. The walking figures are those undergoing the process. A lesser-known but captivating detail supports this. In some of the rosettes, the rivers or roads within them are colored in sequences: blue, green, red, that alchemists associated with the stages of their work. The entire fold-out could be a grand, visual allegory of the great work of alchemy, showing the soul's purification through various symbolic landscapes. But there is a fierce counter-debate. Could it be a real, if highly stylized, geographical map? Some researchers have tried to superimpose it on maps of Europe, with the rosettes representing major cities or regions, and the paths being trade routes. The volcanic rosette could be the area around Naples, the sea rosette the Mediterranean. The problem, as always, is the lack of identifiable landmarks and the overwhelming stylization. It feels too systematic to be a simple map, and too geographical to be pure spirit. It exists in the uncanny valley between the literal and the allegorical. As you float here in the center of this imagined spherical map, the procession of tiny figures begins to move in your mind's eye. It's not a hurried march, but a slow, inevitable drift, like leaves carried on a gentle, unseen current. There is no sound of footsteps, only the vast, peaceful silence of the diagram itself. The urge to pin it down, is it a map of the mind, the world, or the soul, ebbs away. The sheer scale and complexity of the vision become a meditation. You are not meant to navigate this map. You are meant to contemplate its existence. The competing theories become like the different rosettes themselves, separate, self-contained worlds of thought, connected only by the slender, winding paths of academic speculation, on which the tiny figures of researchers endlessly, quietly walk. The vast, silent cathedral of the rosettes fold-out gently folds in upon itself, the walls of your imagination softening back into the quiet intimacy of the library. Your focus now turns from the grand visions in the book to the physical reality of the book. You lean closer, not to the illustrations, but to the substance itself. The vellum is no longer a window to other worlds, but an object in this one. The light from the high, narrow windows catches its surface differently now, highlighting not images, but texture, the faint grain, the occasional hair follicle, the subtle variations in thickness. You are considering the manuscript's body, Carbon dating has given it an age. But what of its flesh? In the early 20th century, when Wilfred Voynich first acquired it, he allowed small samples to be taken. Under microscopes, much less powerful than today's, analysts confirmed it was calfskin vellum. But modern, non-invasive spectroscopic analysis has whispered more secrets. The inks show no anomalies. They are period-appropriate iron gall and mineral pigments. There are no hidden messages written in lemon juice or urine. No erasures revealing a palimpsest of a known text beneath. The book is, chemically, exactly what it appears to be, a 15th century creation. But here is a quiet, material mystery that often gets lost in the code-breaking frenzy: the queering. That's the bookbinding term for how the sheets of vellum are folded and nested to make sections. The Voynich's queering is irregular. Some sections have more folios than others. More intriguingly, there is evidence that pages have been removed and that the current order of sections, herbal, astronomical, biological, etc., might not be the original order. The book was rebound at least once, and whoever did it may have shuffled the deck. This means the narrative we perceive, the journey from garden to stars to plumbing, might be an accident of binding. The original intellectual sequence, the logic that connected one thought to the next, is physically scrambled. We are trying to solve a puzzle whose pieces have been mixed by a careless hand centuries ago. This material fact fuels a poignant academic debate. Are we even looking for a single, coherent text? Could the Voynich be a commonplace book, a personal scrapbook where an individual or a small group collected various diagrams, recipes, and notes over time, eventually having it bound together? The different sections could be unrelated projects, using the same private script for different purposes. The herbal pages might be one person's work, the astronomical charts another's, brought together under one cover later. The script would then be a personal shorthand, meaningful only to its creators, not a full-fledged language or a cipher meant for others to read. This theory is less glamorous than a grand conspiracy or a lost language, but it carries a melancholic plausibility. It would mean the Voynich is not a locked door, but a diary whose key was thrown away with its author's last breath. Yet, the consistency of the script and artistic style across sections argues against a random compilation. The hand, while possibly from multiple scribes, maintains remarkable uniformity in the letter forms and the quality of line. This brings you to the most intimate detail of all, the pen strokes. High-resolution scans allow us to see the pressure of the nib, the slight tremble at the end of a long line, the confident curve of a plant stem. You can almost feel the scribe's hand resting on the vellum, the scratch of the quill, the pause to dip into the inkwell. This was a human being, in a room, likely with a north-facing window for steady light, engaged in a task that required immense concentration and patience. Were they filled with fervent belief in what they recorded? Or was it a tedious, paid commission? The vellum holds the trace of their labor, but not their intent. As you run your gaze over a blank margin, you might see a faint smudge, a fingerprint in centuries-old oil and skin cells, long since absorbed into the fiber. It's a ghost of a moment. The debate over its nature, coherent treatise or personal miscellany, fades beside this simple, physical connection. You are in the same space, though separated by 600 years, as the person who made this. You are both looking at the same vellum, the same ink. They left a message in a bottle, but the bottle itself, its texture, its weight, its very existence, has become the more eloquent testament. The search for meaning becomes a shared, silent vigil over the object, a connection that needs no translation. The tactile connection to the anonymous scribe fades as the light in your imagined library seems to brighten, shifting to the warmer, dustier glow of an antiquarian's bookshop in the early 20th century. The scent changes from old vellum to polished wood, cigar smoke, and the faint, sharp smell of chemical preservative. You are no longer with the creator, but with the man who gave the manuscript its modern name and brought it screaming into the age of investigation. Wilfred Michael Voynich. Picture him, a man with a neat beard and intense eyes, a Polish revolutionary turned London antiquarian bookseller. It's 1912, and he is in Italy, rummaging through a chest of forgotten books from the library of the Jesuit Collegio Romano at Mondragon. His fingers, practiced in sensing value, brush past treatises and hymnals before closing on a plain, sturdy volume. He opens it. The strange script and bewildering illustrations spill out. For Voynich, a man who dealt in secrets and rare knowledge, this wasn't just a curiosity. It was a potential Rosetta Stone of the occult, a ticket to immortality. He purchased it, along with other books, for an undisclosed sum and brought it to London. Now, you see him in his shop, the manuscript open on a velvet-lined table. He is not just a seller. He is a promoter, a myth maker. He sends carefully made photographic copies to the greatest cryptologists and scholars of his day, including William and Elizabeth Friedman, who would later become legendary American codebreakers. In his letters, Voynich wove a tantalizing provenance. He claimed the book had once belonged to the 16th century English mystic and astrologer John Dee, and perhaps even to his scrying partner, Edward Kelly. He suggested it was the work of the 13th century Franciscan friar and scientist Roger Bacon. These were not casual attributions. They were strategic, linking the book to figures synonymous with esoteric knowledge and lost wisdom. It was a sales pitch, yes, but one that forever shaped the manuscript's aura. Here lies a pivotal and often underanalyzed twist. Voynich's own actions may have created the very mystery we are trying to solve. By attaching it to Bacon and Dee, he framed it as a great secret, a work of profound science hidden in code. This framing dictated a century of research aimed at decryption. But what if his provenance was wrong or exaggerated? What if the book was something more mundane, but its connection to famous occultists was a story told by a previous owner to increase its value, a story Voynich happily amplified? The debate here is meta. Are we trying to solve the manuscript's mystery, or the mystery Voynich constructed around it? A fascinating, lesser-known detail involves a faded signature Voynich found on the first page, which he read as Jacob Jotepanis. This was Jacobus Horsicki, a.k.a. Sinapius, a Czech alchemist and court pharmacist to Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II. Rudolph was a renowned patron of the occult, and his court in Prague was a magnet for alchemists, Kabbalists, and makers of mysterious devices. This signature, if genuine, places the book squarely in the most fertile ground for such an object in the late 1500s, early 1600s. It supports the alchemical interpretation powerfully, but it also introduces a new layer. The book might have been created earlier, 1400s, but owned and perhaps annotated by a practicing alchemist a century later, who may have believed it contained real secrets, or simply collected it as a curiosity. As you watch Voynich pore over his prize, his excitement palpable, you sense the moment the manuscript transitioned from a forgotten oddity to a modern intellectual Everest. He didn't just find a book, he launched a quest. The quiet, personal intentions of its maker were now buried under the weight of 20th century, code-breaking ambition, scholarly obsession, and public fascination. The debate Voynich ignited. Is it a cipher? A hoax? A lost language is the very debate we are having now. In a way, he is the ghost in the machine, the first interpreter whose interpretation set the rules for all who followed. The manuscript on his table is the same, but its meaning is now inextricably tied to the story of its discovery. The warm, smoky air of Voynich's bookshop dissolves, replaced by the cool, sterile atmosphere of archives and the electric hum of early mainframe computers. The journey of the physical book continues, a silent passenger through the upheavals of the 20th century. After Voynich's death in 1930, the manuscript passed to his widow, Ethel, and then, upon her death, to her close friend in Nil. In 1969, it was sold to the rare book dealer Hans P. Krauss. Finding no buyer willing to meet his high price, Krauss ultimately donated it to Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library in 1969, where it resides today under the catalog number MS-408. Its wandering from a Jesuit chest to a London shop to a New Haven vault is over. It has found a permanent, quiet home. But as the book settled, the storm of analysis around it was just reaching gale force. You are now in a room that is both nowhere and everywhere. A conceptual space where the manuscript is no longer a book, but a data set. Its pages have been photographed, scanned, digitized. Every curlicue of script, every blot of pigment has been rendered into pixels and binary code. This digital liberation allowed a new kind of visitation. Scholars no longer needed to petition Yale. They could download the high-resolution files and subject them to tools the 15th century scribe could never have imagined. Enter the linguists and statisticians. They fed the strange script into machines, analyzing letter frequency, word length, character adjacency. The same techniques used to crack military ciphers. The results were, and remain, mind-bending. The Voynich script exhibits Zipf's law. This is a linguistic principle stating that in a natural language, the most common word will occur approximately twice as often as the second most common, 3 times as the third, and so on. The Voynich text obeys this law beautifully. This finding was seismic. It strongly suggests the text is not random gibberish. It has the statistical fingerprint of a real language or a supremely clever cipher that mimics natural language structure. But then more puzzles. The words are incredibly repetitive. Many are just slight variations of each other, with characters swapped at the beginning or end. There is almost no repetition of long phrases. It's as if the text is written in a language with a very small vocabulary, constantly recombining the same basic parts. Some researchers argue this is characteristic of a constructed language or a verbose cipher, where a single plaintext letter might be represented by multiple ciphertext characters in a pattern. Others point to the possibility of it being an agglutinative language, like Turkish or Finnish, where words are formed by stringing morphemes together, creating many similar-looking words. This is where a fascinating and less publicized debate rages in academic forums. One camp, led by the late Professor Stephen Bax, proposed a partial decoding by trying to match Voynich plant illustrations to real plants and then assigning sounds to the adjacent labels. He claimed to identify words for juniper, coriander, and hellebore. His work was promising, but controversial and incomplete. On the other side are researchers like Dr. Lisa Fagan-Davis, who caution that the statistical properties could emerge from a clever, meaningless generation process, a medieval algorithm for creating pseudotext. The debate is fundamentally about the nature of the mystery itself. Are we looking at a locked chest with a key we haven't found, or a beautifully crafted chest that was never meant to hold anything at all? As you watch lines of code scroll down a screen, transforming gallows characters and star shapes, into frequency graphs and entropy measurements. The manuscript feels both infinitely closer and further away. Its secrets are atomized into data points, yet its soul seems to retreat. The soft scratch of the quill is gone, replaced by the silent calculation of probabilities. The human hand that made it is now confronted by the digital brain trying to unmake it. And in this tension between the artisan of the past and the analyst of the present, the manuscript rests, eternally poised between revelation and obfuscation. Its statistical heartbeat is steady, enigmatic rhythm in the dark. The sterile glow of the computer screens dims, giving way to the softer, more speculative light of the study lined with books on medieval history, botany, and cryptography. The digital data has been parsed, the statistics debated. Now, the human mind seeks a story, a context into which this beautiful oddity might fit. We enter the realm of grand theories, where the Voynich Manuscript is not just a puzzle, but a key to a lost chapter of history. One of the most persistent and romantic theories places its origins not in Europe, but across the Atlantic. Imagine, for a moment, the first Franciscan or Jesuit missionaries arriving in the New World in the early 1500s. They encounter flora and fauna beyond their wildest imaginings. A learned friar, perhaps of Spanish or Italian origin, attempts to document this alien botanical world for the scholars back home. But he faces a problem. He has no words for these things. The local names are Nahuatl or Quechua, languages he doesn't fully grasp. The plant's uses, medicinal, spiritual, are explained to him through ritual and gesture, not Latin treatises. So, he invents a system. He uses a simplified, phonetic script to transcribe the indigenous names as he hears them. He draws the plants as best he can, but his European training imposes familiar forms on unfamiliar structures. A leaf here looks almost like an oak, a root vaguely like a parsnip, resulting in the chimeric plants of the herbal section. The bathing scenes could be his attempt to document native hydrotherapeutic rituals he witnessed. The astronomical charts might incorporate Mesoamerican star lore, scrambled through his own Ptolemaic understanding. This New World theory is compelling. It explains the plant's strangeness, the script's uniqueness, and even the lack of a decryption key. The key was the living, dying knowledge of the native informants, lost to disease and time. But the carbon dating to 1404 to 1438 poses a severe problem. This is decades before Columbus's voyage. Proponents of the theory argue the vellum could be older than the ink, or that the date range has a margin of error. Critics find this special pleading. The debate here is a clash of narratives. The poetic appeal of a pre-Columbian transatlantic connection versus the hard stop of radiocarbon science. A different, quieter theory emerges from the shadows of medieval women's history. You are in the workshop of a beguinage, a community of semi-religious laywomen in the Low Countries or Germany. These women, often literate and skilled in herbal medicine and manuscript illumination, operated outside direct monastic control. Could the Voynich be their clandestine encyclopedia? The script, a constructed women's cipher, protects their knowledge from suspicious church authorities. The ubiquitous female figures, the focus on baths and herbs, connected to midwifery and women's health. The possible menstrual cycle tracking in the zodiac pages. All could fit. The rosette's fold-out might map a spiritual journey accessible to the devout laywoman. This theory is powerful because it gives the manuscript a social context and a reason for secrecy that has nothing to do with grand alchemy or global exploration, but with the simple, dangerous act of women preserving and transmitting knowledge. The academic debate between these macro theories is often polite but firm. The New World hypothesis champions a dramatic historical secret. The women's script hypothesis champions a profound social secret. Both are more satisfying than the null hypothesis, that it's an elaborate, purposeless hoax, because they imbue the work with intention and value. Yet, both struggle with a lack of smoking gun, a single piece of external evidence that irrefutably ties the book to either 15th century Mexico or a Rhineland beguinage. The manuscript sits like an island, and these theories are beautiful, elaborate bridges built from the mainland, their far ends hovering just shy of the shore, never quite touching. As you consider these grand narratives, the image of the book itself seems to float between them, belonging to none. It becomes a Rorschach test for our own desires about history. Do we want it to be a record of a lost Edenic knowledge? A testament to subaltern resistance? The very multiplicity of compelling theories is, in itself, part of the manuscript's genius. It doesn't just resist a single solution. It generously accommodates many beautiful, tragic, and fascinating possibilities, allowing us to project our fascinations onto its creamy, uncrackable surface. The grand historical narratives begin to recede, like continents drifting away from our mysterious island. Now, we enter a more skeptical, perhaps deflating, but intellectually vital space. The possibility that the Voynich Manuscript is not a secret at all, but a fabrication. A very beautiful, very expensive, very clever fake. The air in this imagined study feels different, sharper, more analytical, less romantic. The scent is of skepticism, a clean, astringent odor. Consider the time and place of its likely creation, early 15th century Europe. The Renaissance is stirring. There is a booming market for curiosities, ancient texts, and esoteric knowledge among wealthy nobles, prelates, and rulers like Emperor Rudolph II. Forgery was not uncommon. What if the Voynich was created to exploit this market? A skilled artisan, perhaps an illuminator with knowledge of herbal manuscripts and astronomical diagrams, could have produced the vellum pages. A confederate, perhaps someone with a basic understanding of cipher systems or linguistic patterns, could have invented the script. Together, they create a book of secrets with no actual secrets inside, a sublime confidence trick for a gullible, deep-pocketed patron fascinated by the occult. This hoax theory gained significant traction in the late 2000s, most notably proposed by Dr. Gordon Rugg, a British computer scientist. Rugg demonstrated that a simple, low-tech method using a 16th century cipher tool called a card-in grill could generate text with statistical properties eerily similar to the Voynich's. His work showed that the manuscript's famous Zipf's law distribution could be produced by a mechanical process, no profound knowledge required. The hoaxer would create a large table of invented syllabic roots and prefixes/suffixes, then use a grill with holes to select and combine them onto the page, filling space around the pre-drawn illustrations. The result would look structured, repetitive, and linguistically plausible, but be devoid of meaning. The debate this ignited is less about the manuscript's beauty and more about human psychology and economics. Pro-hoax scholars point to the lack of corrections, the confident penmanship, the perfect fit of text around images as evidence of a text generated after the drawings were complete, the hallmark of a filler, not a source. They ask, if this contains real, valuable knowledge, why is there not a single marginal note, a decoding attempt, a key hidden in another book from the same period? Its history before Voynich is shadowy at best. A truly important secret would have left more traces. But the anti-hoax camp pushes back with powerful counterpoints. The materials were expensive. The effort was monumental. To what end? A forger seeking profit would likely choose a subject with more obvious appeal. A fake gospel, a lost Aristotle treatise, not an incomprehensible herbal/astronomical mishmash. The artistic style is consistent with genuine 15th century work, not a later pastiche. And the carbon dating places it firmly in the 1400s, before the Rudolphine occult craze that would have been the prime market for such a forgery. Would a forger work so hard for an audience that wouldn't exist for another century? As you weigh these arguments, the manuscript transforms again. It is no longer a potential treasure map or a feminist manifesto, but a potential testament to human ingenuity of a different kind. The ingenuity of deception, or perhaps the ingenuity of artistic creation for its own sake. Could it be, as some have softly suggested, a form of artistic cryptography, a medieval predecessor to abstract or conceptual art, where the meaning is the mystery, the aesthetic experience of the unknowable? The creators may have been making a philosophical object about the limits of knowledge itself. This meta-debate, hoax versus real secret versus art object, is perhaps the most modern of all. It forces us to examine what we want from history. Do we demand utility, a secret to uncover? Or can we value something for its sheer, persistent strangeness, for its ability to humble our modern, data-saturated arrogance? The quiet, rhythmic scratching of the quill takes on a new tone. It could be the sound of craftsmen building a prison for meaning or a temple to ambiguity. And in that ambiguity, there's a peculiar, profound kind of peace. The sharp edges of the hoax debate soften, blurring into a different kind of inquiry. We leave behind the question of real or fake and enter the realm of pure pattern, of emergent behavior, of noise that begins to sound like a signal. The library around you now feels both ancient and futuristic, its walls lined with scrolls of algorithms and neural network diagrams. You are in the domain of artificial intelligence, the newest and perhaps most ambiguous player in the 6th century-long attempt to understand the Voynich. In the last decade, teams of computer scientists have thrown the most advanced tools of machine learning and natural language processing, NLP, at the manuscript's digitized script. The goal is not to think like a human cryptographer, but to detect patterns invisible to the human eye. One such study, published in 2018, made headlines. An AI system, trained on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in hundreds of languages, analyzed the Voynich text and declared, with a certain algorithmic confidence, that it most closely resembled Hebrew. More specifically, it suggested the text might be alphabetic with spaces, with the letters possibly in a fixed, scrambled order. A cipher where, for example, every second letter forms a word. The researchers even produced a tentative translation of the first page, yielding sentences like, "She made recommendations to the priest, man of the house, and me and people." It was grammatically odd, but vaguely coherent. The media erupted. AI cracks Voynich Manuscript. But the scholarly community responded with a chorus of cautious and often skeptical, "Not so fast." The method assumed the underlying language was one the AI knew. Its translation was a statistical guess, a best fit overlay, not a decryption with a reproducible key. Other AI studies have since proposed other language origins, from Arabic to a constructed linguistic family. The results contradict each other, a digital Tower of Babel. This highlights a fundamental and beautiful paradox in the Voynich saga. The more power we apply to it, the more it fragments. Human codebreakers failed. Supercomputers churn out statistics, but no Rosetta Stone. Now, AIs offer confident but contradictory answers. The manuscript seems to behave like a quantum particle. The method of observation changes the perceived result. Use linguistic analysis, and it looks like a language. Use hoax detection algorithms, and it looks like a hoax. Use art historical analysis, and it looks like a coherent artistic project. The debate is no longer just between theories, but between epistemologies, between different ways of knowing. Can a statistical likelihood from a neural network constitute understanding? Or does true understanding require that elusive human quality of context, of grasping intent? A lesser-known but profound detail from these AI forays is the concept of perplexity. In language modeling, perplexity measures how surprised a model is by a new piece of text. Lower perplexity means the text fits the model's expectations better. The Voynich Manuscript, when analyzed by models trained on natural languages, often has a higher perplexity than meaningful texts, but a lower perplexity than random gibberish. It occupies a strange middle ground, too structured to be noise, too alien to be signal. It is, in the cold language of data science, an outlier. As you watch streams of data, vectors, tokens, probability distributions flow around a digital representation of the manuscript, the object itself seems to retreat further into its own aura. The AI doesn't see the lush blue of a bathing pool or the anxious face in a celestial orb. It sees token sequences and conditional probabilities. This divorce between the book's visceral, artistic impact and its reduction to a data set is perhaps the ultimate modern tension. The debate now is not only about what the Voynich is, but about what tools are even appropriate for asking the question. Can a mystery be solved by a machine that feels no curiosity, only optimization? Or does the mystery itself lie in the human reaction it provokes? The awe, the obsession, the endless storytelling? The gentle hum you hear now is not the buzz of a library or the drip of water, but the cooling fans of server racks. And in that sterile sound, there's a new kind of lullaby. It's the sound of a puzzle accepting all comers, absorbing every tool, every theory, and remaining steadfastly, gloriously, unsolved. It is a mirror reflecting not a hidden truth, but our own relentless desire to find one. The digital hum fades into a profound, welcoming silence. We have journeyed through ciphers and statistics, across oceans of theory and deserts of skepticism. Now, we arrive at a quieter shore. Let the weight of solving finally slip from your shoulders. In this second-to-last pause, we consider not what the Voynich Manuscript means, but what it does. Its effect. Its place not in history, but in the human psyche. Close your eyes in your imagined library. The book is closed on the lectern before you. Its plain cover gives nothing away. Yet, its very existence in the world, in that vault at Yale, in the digital ether, performs a subtle magic. It is a permanent question mark. In a world increasingly mapped, explained, quantified, and optimized, the Voynich is a preserve of the inexplicable. It is a sanctuary for wonder. It tells us, in no uncertain terms, that there are still things that fit in no framework, that belong to no category, that defy the totality of our tools. And that is not a frustration, it is a gift. Think of the countless hours spent on it, by Wilfred Voynich, by Friedman codebreakers, by PhD students, by amateur sleuths posting on forums at 2 a.m. This collective effort, spanning a century and involving thousands of brilliant, curious minds, has not yielded an answer, but it has yielded something else, a community of the perplexed, a shared, gentle obsession. The manuscript has become a campfire around which people from all disciplines and walks of life gather, not to receive answers, but to share the same beautiful, unsolvable riddle. In an age of polarizing certainties, it offers a unifying uncertainty. The debate itself, the respectful, often fascinated clash of ideas between the linguist, the historian, the botanist, the computer scientist, is the point. The manuscript is the catalyst for a specific, humble kind of conversation. I don't know. What do you think? There's a therapeutic quality to this. Engaging with the Voynich, whether by reading about it, gazing at its pages, or theorizing, forces a mental state of open-ended contemplation. It is an exercise in holding multiple, contradictory possibilities in your mind without the urgent need to resolve them. Is it a women's cipher? A new world herbal? A hoax? A work of art? It can be all these things in your imagination, a kaleidoscope of potentialities. This state of curiosity without demand, of wonder without conquest, is remarkably close to the state encouraged for sleep. It is a release from the binary, problem-solving mind into the softer, more associative realm of dream logic. And here lies a final, gentle irony about the manuscript's most famous modern context, the science for sleep video you are ostensibly listening to. The Voynich has no definitive science to offer. It is the antithesis of a settled fact. Yet, it is perhaps the perfect lullaby because of that. It doesn't lecture. It doesn't explain. It simply presents a world of impossible plants, starry gears, bathing nymphs, and flowing lines, and invites you to wander in it. The narrative voice guiding you through its mysteries isn't delivering truth. It's weaving a tapestry of possibilities, a soft blanket of what if. The slow, rhythmic pacing of the description, the lingering on details, the admission of perpetual mystery, all mimic the meandering, non-linear path of a mind drifting towards sleep. So, as you prepare to leave this library of the mind, see the Voynich Manuscript for what it has perhaps always been. Not a lock to be picked, but a wellspring of curiosity, of scholarly passion, of artistic awe, and, ultimately, of a deep, calming acceptance. The great, quiet debate over its nature will continue, a low, pleasant murmur in the background of human inquiry. But for you, right now, its greatest role is to be a beautiful, complicated, silent companion in the dimming light, a reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but to be cherished. And in that cherishing, we find a strange and perfect peace. The lectern is empty now. The book, in our minds, has been gently closed and returned to its silent vault. We have walked its garden paths, floated in its starry wheels, traced the flow in its secret pipes, and met the ghosts of its owners and pursuers. We have weighed the grand theories and the skeptical rebuttals on the scales of our imagination, finding them balanced in perfect, poetic equilibrium. Now, we arrive at the final page of our own shared contemplation. Not an answer, but an integration. Let your awareness settle back into the room where you truly are. Feel the weight of your body in your chair or against your mattress. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your breath, a rhythm far older than any manuscript. The Voynich, with all its convoluted splendor, begins to recede, not as a problem unresolved, but as a landscape visited. Its impossible plants become soft, blurry shapes in the periphery of your mind's eye. Its intricate script dissolves into mere texture, like the pattern on a distant wallpaper, seen through drowsy eyes. The women in the baths sink deeper into their pools, becoming only suggestions of form in liquid blue. The procession of tiny figures along the rosette paths slows, then stills, their long journey pausing as yours does. Remember the feel of the vellum, not as evidence, but as a sensation. The slight grain, the coolness. That sensation softens, merges with the feeling of your own sheets or the air on your skin. The scratch of the scribe's quill, which we have imagined so vividly, transforms into the faint, comfortable sound of your own heartbeat in your ears, or the distant sigh of a house settling for the night. The debates, hoax or gospel, cipher or art, lose their sharp edges. The words themselves, Zipf's law, Cardan grill, beguinage, new world, float free of their definitions, becoming mere sounds, soothing nonsense syllables in a whispered lullaby of academia. This is the final, gentle gift of the Voynich Manuscript. It demonstrates, more eloquently than any solved puzzle could, that the pursuit of knowledge is not a straight line to a destination, but a meandering, often circular, walk through a garden of wonders. The value is in the walking, in the looking, in the quietum of not knowing. It teaches humility to the codebreaker, patience to the historian, and wonder to the skeptic. And for you, the listener drifting in the dark, it offers a model for letting go. You have held this vast, intricate mystery in your mind for a while. You have turned its pages with your attention. Now, you can let it be. It is complete in its incompleteness. It is whole in its mystery. So, allow the images to fade to soft monochrome. Let the questions become rhetorical, then silent. The library of your imagination, with its stone walls and moonbeams, gently dissolves. All that remains is the quiet aftermath of a story told, a journey taken. The manuscript is safe. The mystery is intact. And you are here, in your own present, your own quiet night, having shared a vigil with a beautiful enigma. There is no conclusion to reach for, no lesson to glean, only the soft, spacious feeling that comes after contemplating something truly, peacefully, eternally unexplained. It is okay not to know. It is more than okay. It is a deep and ancient kind of rest. And so, we let the last traces of vellum and ink evaporate into the darkness behind your eyelids. The world the Voynich built, a world of silent women in starlit baths, of roots holding tiny faces, of gears turning in an indigo sky, was never ours to keep. It was a borrowed dream, a shared hallucination spawned from calfskin and curiosity. We return it now to the realm of whispers, where it belongs. Feel the space that its absence leaves. Not an empty space, but a calm one. A spacious quiet, like the moment after a single, sustained note from a cello has faded, and the air itself seems to hold the memory of the vibration. Your breath fills that space, in and out, slow and slower still. There is no more code to crack, no more theory to evaluate. The scholars will continue their work, and that is good. The manuscript will await them, patient and unchanging. But your work here is done. You listened. You wandered. You wondered. That is enough. That is everything. Let your awareness sink deeper, away from the realm of symbols and stories, and into the simpler kingdom of sensation. The gentle pressure where your body meets the bed, the subtle shift of fabric with each breath, the temperature of the air as it enters your nose, cools a path, and leaves, warmed. These are the true, simple texts of this moment, written in the language of the living body. They require no translation. The mystery of the Voynich Manuscript is vast and old, but the mystery of your own consciousness, resting here in the dark, is vaster and more immediate. It, too, is a manuscript in a script you can only partially read, filled with beautiful, inexplicable illustrations, memories, sensations, the faint colors of dreams waiting to form. You don't need to decipher it tonight. You only need to let it be. To let the pages turn on their own, without your hand guiding them. So, release the last thread of thought about plants and stars and pipes. Watch it drift away, a fragile filament dissolving in the warm, dark waters of near sleep. There's only the rhythm now, the rhythm of breath, the rhythm of a heart that needs no cipher to beat its steady, reassuring message. You are here. You are safe. The mysteries can wait. The world, with all its beautiful, unsolvable puzzles, is held at bay for now, beyond the soft walls of this room, this moment. Let your gaze, even behind closed lids, soften until it sees nothing but a field of gentle, comforting darkness. Let the hum of your own existence become the only soundtrack. Deep and deeper, quiet and quieter. The last page turns, not with a sound, but with the scent of old paper finally settling into dust. The book is closed. The light is out. The story is over, leaving only its echo, a soothing ripple in the silent pool of your mind, spreading wider and wider, until it touches the far shores of sleep and dissolves into peace.